All right. So the fourth reason we'll see why plans fail is because there's a confusion in people's mind, the difference between being strategic and being tactical, right? Two different things. Strategy, tactical. Strategy talks about long-term, right? Tactical talks about short-term. When I do my plan right now, I do a plan for the whole of 2023. Don't forget, even that 2023 is a subset of the plan of my whole life, right? I'm not just going to live 2023. I have a whole life ahead of me. When I look at my whole life, that plan is called a strategy, not a tactic, not a tactics. Or no, it's not tactical, it's strategic. The plan for my whole life is a long-term plan, it's strategic. The plan for my next 20 years is strategic. The plan for my next 10 years is strategic. The plan for my next 5 years is strategic. The plan for 2023 is both strategic and tactical, right? Because that's what immediately before me, right? In a sense, the plan for the whole year as compared to the plan for the month is strategic, right? Whereas the plan for 2023 as compared to the plan for 5 years is tactical, right? You need to understand the difference between the two. One is short-term, one is long-term, right? And the way your understanding of them and the way you apply yourself to them can either make your plan fail or succeed, right? Everyday plan is a tactical plan because that's what is right in my face. So my daily plan as compared to my weekly plan is tactical. My weekly plan is strategic. My weekly plan as compared to my month plan is tactical. My month plan is strategic, right? So when I'm looking at my month at my 2023 plan as compared to my month's time, my January plan, for instance, right? I'm looking at my 2023 as a strategic plan. What is it I want to achieve as a whole? Then I'm looking at my January plan as tactical. What do I need to do in January that will make sure that my plan for the whole of 2023 will succeed? What part of that 2023 plan I need to face in January, right? So I begin to then look at the tiny details of the plan, right? The other way you look at strategic and tactical is the difference of being outside the frame and inside the frame. When you're inside the frame of a picture, you cannot see the whole picture. If you're a part of the picture, you cannot see the whole picture. You have to be outside the frame of the picture to be able to see the whole picture. So depending on who you are and what you're doing, if you are in the frame, all you can see is tactical. Your strategy will suffer if you are the only one looking at that business. You will miss things in long term. You will be satisfying things in the short term and miss things in long term. And you will make short-term decisions that might be negative to your long-term decisions. So that's why these two are important, because they affect one another, right? For instance, I own a business. I try to stay strategic. I've had this going to be 2 years next year. I've only been to that business 3 times, and it's intentional. I stay away from a tactical. I have a farm manager that handles the tactical issues, right? I am the financier. I'm the person that owns the business. Success or failure of the business is me. I don't have to bother myself with small everyday details. That's why I pay someone to do that. I look at the totality of the success of the business, how this business will be financed, how this business will make money, how this business will be an institution, not just something that will be there when I'm there, how this business will have a life of its own, irrespective of who is running it. That is what I am looking at. And for that, I cannot be in the frame, because if I'm in the frame, I will not be able to see the full picture of the business. So I stay as much away from being in the frame so that I can see that. Why I pay someone to be in the frame to undo the things in the frame, right? So all of that will affect your plan, whether it succeeds or it doesn't succeed. You need to understand the difference between the two of them, right? I'm going to run on to the next one, which will be our fifth and final reason why plans fail. So the last reason is people's resistance to change, being rigid. You know, if you're rigid, you're not going to succeed in life, right? And anyone that is rigid and is too much under control is because the person cannot control himself. right? When you see someone that's too much wanting to control everybody, oh, what have you done? What have you done? That's because that person has lost control of himself, right? You cannot give what you don't have, right? If you're in control of yourself, then you are going to give grace. If you're not in control of yourself, and that comes from a place of fear. If you're going to succeed, if your plan is going to succeed, you have to learn to be able to adjust to the reality of time, right? Don't forget again, you're not going to step into the same river 2 times. When you step the next time, each time you step into the river, you have to respect what you see. Don't be stuck to what you planned. Your best of plan will never mirror reality. So when you come to reality, you need to respect reality and make the right adjustment to the reality that you see, right? Like I said, this business I started last year. I sat down in my home in Houston and I was buying business. I was employing people. And while I was there, I had not seen that place, what I was buying. I had utopian plans. I was going to build a chapel. I was going to build a library. I was going to be an office. I was going to do all of those crazy things. The first time I went to that location and I saw the reality on ground, right? All of my utopian plans had to find a footing on the ground, right? Yeah, my utopian plans are good. They keep me excited. But then I have to look at the reality of where we are and what it would take from where we are to get to my utopian plan, right? I have to understand that is strategic. And then I have to break that down into small pieces to the reality of the money I have at hand, right? I am everybody, but God is limited. Whoever you are limited. And it's intentional for you to be limited, because if you're not limited, you will not be forced to think. God wants us to think. That is why he made us a living soul, a living intellect, a living will, a living emotion. We are forced to think because there's a limit to the resource that is released to us part-time, right? We have abundance. We have everything that God has is our own. But God does not release everything part-time, intentionally, because if he does, we will not think. You have to think to make the best of what he has released to you part-time. And that involves you respecting reality, right?